Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Daily Mirror columnist Jessica Bolton, and today we're joined by a true national treasure. It's Queen of Morning TV herself, Lorraine Kelly. Hi Lorraine.
Oh, hi Jess, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You've already done your day's work, so I really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, it's such a weird one because I used to work as a waitress and do split shifts, and it's kind of a bit like that. Like you work in the morning, then you have a couple of hours off, and then you start again on the next show sort of early afternoon. So it's great though. It's great because you know what, Jess, every day is different. And things can change and do change all the time, and I quite like that. You never quite know what's going to happen with live telly.
No, exactly. You have to keep on your toes at all times, I imagine. It must be exhausting. Honestly, I don't know how you do it. Obviously, we were saying that everyone in the country recognises your face. We see you. Everyone knows Lorraine, apart from apparently Boris Johnson, who a couple of weeks ago made the little slip up when, after being interviewed by Susanna Reid, and very rudely said Lorraine who when she passed over to you.
I just, honestly, it's fine. I don't expect him to know who I am. Of course I don't. The only thing is, Jess, I did meet him. I have met him a couple of times. I was hosting a couple of award ceremonies, and he was giving out an award at both of them. So we did meet, but clearly I didn't make much of an impression, I'm afraid. So yeah, but it's fine. It made me laugh, and that's the main thing.
I do not believe that Carrie has not watched you in the mornings.
I don't know. It's just very strange, but it's fine. It's fine. It is.
Would you invite him on the show?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have. He's never taken up our invite so far, but yeah, he would. I mean, we've had actually. Up until he came into power, he's probably the first Prime Minister that I've not interviewed. Because David Cameron came on a few times, and we've obviously had the leaders of the opposition on many times too. But yeah, it's strange. I've interviewed Theresa May. So yeah, it did seem slightly odd that he's not, but do remember that he did hide in a fridge when Piers Morgan tried to interview him live on air. So he ran away. So maybe he just doesn't want to. I don't know, but he can come on whenever he likes. But yeah, I thought Susanna's interview with him was brilliant though, because usually when politicians are interviewed, it tends to be a bit gladiatorial, and it all tends to be a bit point scoring. I can't be bothered with that. You just want to get to the heart of the matter. And I think that's what Susanna did so beautifully, so forensically. I think he may well have underestimated her, which is a dangerous thing to do.
I think you're exactly right.
Fabulous. Yeah, she's fantastic at her job, as she proves every single day.
Yeah, she does. She really does. And I reckon he was just scared to come on your show, Lorraine.
He will be.
And he doesn't want to come on. That's what it is. I think perhaps if you say with the invite there's a couple of bottles of wine, he'll know it's a work event that he has to come to.
I know, honestly, isn't it awful? I mean, it just is terrible. And I know that a lot of people, and I completely understand why they would just put it behind them and move on. But I think the country's very divided, and I think it depends on your experience of lockdown that time. If you had it really hard and maybe even so tough that you lost someone that you love, or you weren't able to go to funerals or weddings or whatever, then your experience, I think, of the pandemic would very much make you not want to move on and never to forget. Shameful. The whole thing was shameful. Absolutely.
It is.
Dreadful.
It is, and it is heartbreaking when you think about some of the people there and what they've been through and what they sacrificed.
We're all obviously looking forward to the Jubilee. Even if you're not a particular fan of the royal family, you're looking forward to a couple of days off work and, the pub's being open late and whatever, a chance to celebrate. But even if you're not a huge fan of the royal family, I don't think anybody will forget that image of the Queen on her own, grieving her husband while parties were going on at Number 10. And that's the image that stays with me. But obviously, I've got an experience of what happened.
You're right. It's whatever you think of them and the royals. It was horrible.
Dreadful.
It is like you wouldn't want to see any woman who's had that, like a long marriage like that, having to sit there on her own, and it's heartbreaking.
That happens all over the country.
And would you ever consider a run in politics, Lorraine? Because I think if we talk about trust levels, the public have a lot more trust in you than perhaps many of the politicians. I think you'd be excellent.
I think that's the saddest thing, Jess. I think the saddest thing is that we have lost trust in politics generally, and there are some fantastic people, really amazing people doing amazing things, but they tend not to obviously make the headlines. I don't think I would be very good at it. It's this whole thing of sort of towing the party line, because I don't think, depending on your politics, but I would say that most people are somewhere in the middle, and maybe they would have some beliefs, that might be slightly to the right or slightly to the left, depending on what your definition of that. But I don't like this kind of tribalism, and I would find that very difficult, because there would be things that the main parties would stand for. Certainly, when we were talking about the Tory party, that I would absolutely not be able to agree with. So probably I'm better just to be the voice outside, going oi, and holding to account, hopefully.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you just want to go, I just want you to use common sense. I don't care whose side you're on. Just use some common sense. And you're the kind of person that you will speak that and say that. And I love it when you do that in your interviews and just get people to, let's just cut everything else and, say it as it is. Now, one of the reasons we wanted to talk today was because you've been on this big health and wellness kick since the end of the pandemic, haven't you? And first of all, I don't know why, because you still look fabulous. So, but can you tell me a little bit about it and what you've been doing?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I think, Jess, like everybody in the country, most of us, I comfort ate my way through the pandemic. I was doing really well, actually, just up until the pandemic. I was going to my classes, my fantastic classes with Maxine and all the girls, and really enjoying that, the aerobics dance classes and the Zumba classes as well. And I was loving that. And I got to the stage with what I was eating. It was healthy, well balanced, but at the same time still able to eat more or less what I wanted to. So I was doing so much exercise, and then wham, the pandemic hit. We weren't able to exercise as much. Do you remember the days we could only go out for an hour?
Yeah.
An hour with my dog. And of course, we all just, for comfort, I just dived into the biscuit tin. I just ate far too much food, like crisps and chocolate, and vast quantities of, that was the thing, that sort of mindless eating when you're binging on Netflix or Apple or whatever it is you're watching, eating too much, and gradually the weight just crept on. And at the start of this year, I don't usually weigh myself very often, but I thought, I just wonder what I weigh. So I went on the scales and I was 11 stone 10, which I'm small, and that's not good, and that's not healthy. It wasn't so much about losing quantities of weight, it was getting to a weight where I was healthy. I just downloaded the WW app, and that tells you, it's got tons of stuff in there, like recipes, and obviously, what sort of foods are the best to eat, and also how much water you should be drinking, how much sleep you should be getting. There's exercises on there. But you know what, Jess, which is really important, there's a really supportive community of people that are all in the same boat and all trying to do the same thing. So that was really helpful, that we were all exchanging messages and everything. So I feel like I'm back to my fighting weight. I feel better about myself, and that's what it's all about. That
is what it's all about, because it's like you say, it's different for everybody. Like whatever feels healthy or whatever is healthy for every different body shape. You can't put a number on it. But you lost 2 dress sizes, didn't you? Since February, am I correct in thinking? Which is amazing.
I'm supposed to be a 10. You know the way that, I mean, our lovely Nesh is one of our models, is supposed to be a 16, and she's a 16, and she's perfect and gorgeous, and and she's very healthy. It's about being healthy, isn't it? Healthy and happy in yourself. So, and also what's lovely is I'm back into the clothes that I really loved, because I wasn't able to. And what happened to me was I was a 14, but 14s were getting really tight on me, and I didn't want to go up to a size 16. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a size 16 if that's what you're supposed to be. And if you're comfy in that and you're healthy in that, great. But I'm wee. I am a wee thing, and I'm not supposed to be that. So it was all about just getting back into my clothes, and it's been great. I've got rid of all my size 14s. Every 4 times a year, at least, we do a big sale of all my clothes, because I tend to. They're all high street clothes. And there wouldn't be enough space apart from to keep them all. So I reuse them, and then we have a big sale at work, and then all the proceeds go to a charity, be it Help for Heroes or to Ukraine, or to our Dame Deborah, Dame Deborah, saying that, to our lovely Deborah James, to that charity. So that's brilliant. It means the clothes get a second life, and it means that we can for charity too. So that's all been really good. But I do feel so much happier in myself, and it's that confidence thing, because I got invited to the BAFTAs recently. The first time I've been invited to give out an award. Start of January, I wouldn't have gone. I know I wouldn't have gone.
Really? You wouldn't have gone? Oh, Lorraine, why? Just because
I couldn't get into any of my clothes. I didn't feel like myself. I felt sluggish, and and just my confidence wasn't good. And I know when people say, oh, for goodness sake, that's ridiculous, get over yourself. But it's how you feel about yourself. And I'm not particularly good at the whole red carpet thing anyway, if I'm honest with you. But I actually really enjoyed the BAFTAs, because we've not been out for ages, right? None of us have been out. Traveller, and it was just so nice to see people that I hadn't seen for a long time, to see. And I don't just mean, people on the telly. I mean, like, lots of journalists that I hadn't seen, lots of camera people I hadn't seen. And that was lovely. So that was really nice. So I'm really, really glad that I went, and I managed to get into a lovely size 10. It was just a high street dress.
This is your gold dress, wasn't it?
This red one, that's my favourite dress. That's my favourite dress in the world. I love that dress. And it's
we all have a dress, don't we? That is like your go-to favourite dress.
Yep, I love that dress. That's my dress. I couldn't get it over my bottom, Jess. I could not get it over my bottom in January, and I thought, right. So I hung it up in my bedroom. I hung it up over the mirror, and I said, I'm going to get into that, and I did. And I was really, really pleased that I was able to do that. I really was. It made all the difference. It made all the difference in the world. And I know, people might say, oh, for goodness sake, it doesn't matter how much space you're taking up in the world, but it's all about how you feel, and it's all about feeling happy.
It's all about feeling happy, feeling good in yourself, and that doesn't matter, to a degree, as long as you're healthy. That doesn't matter what size you are, but you feel good, confident going out in there. Where's the dress from, by the way? Because
it's damsel in a dress. It's called damsel in a dress, and it's a wee cracker. And the other one that I wore to the BAFTAs, the white and gold one, was from Phase 8. It was from Phase 8. I remembered. I'm so impressed with myself for remembering.
Very impressive. I'm also very impressed that you got rid of all your size 14s already. I've got a wardrobe. I am the worst yo-yo dieter. I have got a wardrobe that could basically take you from when I was like a size 8 to when I'm a size a lot more than an 8. Let's just put it that way. So I've got these various different stages of wardrobes that I can go back to.
I think we're all a bit like that, and I do get that, but I'm determined to get, because I had, like I said, I had really cracked it before. But I knew at the start of this year I needed a little bit of extra help, which is why I did the WW plan, because I just needed somebody to hold my hand and to help me through this. And that's no bad thing. And, it's not a diet, because we know that diets don't work, Jess. They don't. They just don't. They make you miserable. When you were saying there that you yo-yo dieted, of course she did, because everybody does. Whereas with this, It's about eating healthy. But for goodness sake, don't get me wrong, I will have a glass of Prosecco at the weekend, or more than one. And if I want a biscuit or some chocolate or something, of course I will, because that's part of the joy of life. You have to do that. It's just not having the whole cake and like fish and chips every single day, and doing what I did, which was the comfort eating and the eating sweeties at night, and it was hot chocolate with 4 sugars in it rather than a cup of tea with just a little bit of milk in it. It was just making wee changes. You still don't feel deprived. You don't feel as if you're on some sort of horrible draconian regime, because that doesn't work. I've done it.
Really doesn't work.
I've done it before, and it does work. All those stupid diets back in the 80s and the 90s, the F-plan diet, eating cabbage soup. I mean, come on. Why would you put yourself through that? It's
the maple syrup diet.
No, we're not doing that. Not doing that. We've got to eat like human beings and enjoy ourselves and enjoy what we're eating and have a good time. And also, nobody wants to go out with somebody who's a diet bore. You don't want to be sitting there in the restaurant with everybody else tucking in, and you can just make choices that might be a little bit healthier, perhaps. But if you want to indulge and have a blowout, go for it. I would say just be a little bit careful for the next couple of days. All works out. It's all about balance, isn't it?
And you've all in a few years ago on the show, you did the bikini challenge, and you showed be proud of yourself, look great. You posed in your bikini and looked amazing. And there you go, see, looking fabulous. And is having that inner confidence, like we said, is the key thing. But is there anything that you've noticed is different when you've been doing a sort of health kick this time round compared to, say, when you were like back, because you did the sort of various things back in the 10 years ago or something? So like after being, because you're now, if I know you don't mind me saying, you're now in your 60s, which I believe anyway, but compared to being in your 40s, is there anything different that people watching might go, right, okay, I know that too, and this is a good tip to counter that?
Sure. Well, obviously, everything sort of does head south, as we know. So it is more about sort of toning up, which is why I find the classes really good. The exercise classes. It's got to be something that you enjoy, and the dancing to amazing music. Because when you get to my age, you don't really get a chance to dance. You don't go to weddings, and none of us have been going to weddings. So so the classes are great. Even if you do them online. And you get some fantastic songs, and you can just go for it. And that is an amazing, very freeing feeling. So, I think you've got to work a little bit harder to tone up as you get older. But I just feel I'm 62 and I want to be healthy for as long as possible. If I'm lucky enough to have grandchildren, I want to be able to run after them. I want to play, and do all of these things. And, and I still want to be able to do challenges. I want to be able to go to places like I'm desperate to go to Greenland or Mongolia. I want to go back to Antarctica. And these are quite, these are holidays that you don't just sit in your bottom. You go amazing walks, amazing treks, amazing challenges, and I love all that. And doing things like we're going to be doing the Race for Life for our lovely Deborah. And I want to be able to still do that and still enjoy it and still feel that I can do all of these things. And you can only do that if you are healthy and happy, and you get that. It's all about getting the balance right, the balance between enough exercise and healthy eating, but without being a bore about it, without still able to, I still want to be able to eat what I want, and I want to be able to have sweeties if I want to, and I do.
You want to have a little cover, like my thing is that maybe I have a little bit of popcorn watching something on TV at night. A whole lot. That's what I do.
Yeah, popcorn's great, because before my husband's got this thing that we did all during the lockdown, which was a chocolate plate. And it was a plate. I mean, it started off a few wee chocolates, and then it just was like, whoa, and I've actually changed that for fruit cut up with a little bit of chocolate dip. So you can do that, so you still get the chocolate. Or popcorn. Popcorn's great. Popcorn's really good, especially the salty kind. Madonna apparently swears by it. That's her style, I'm told.
Well, that's a great tip. Amazing. So great. Oh, good. Now, obviously, talking about getting your sort of vavavoom back, as you you sort of mentioned from doing all this, you've been taking on other challenges, and I know we saw on the show about getting back on the horse, literally.
I know that was, well, to be honest with you, it's not something that I thought I would do again. I have no history of horse riding, but I did have an accident. That's me and Rosie. I was doing a charity challenge for a charity, and part of that challenge was learning to ride. And unfortunately, I fell off. I think it was the second time I was on a horse. I fell off, and the horse reared up and came down and got me on the top of my thigh. So I was pretty badly injured, and I lost a lot of blood. Rushed to the hospital, St George's Hospital, A&E. Oh my goodness, the NHS at its finest. It was incredible. And I was off work. That's me going back to work with my wee stick. I was off work for about 6 weeks, which really isn't like me. And I do remember getting wheeled into the operating theatre, and my friend and my producer, Emma, was there. And I sort of, I was a bit delirious, I think. And I turned to Emma and said, I don't think I'm going to be at work tomorrow. No, I don't think you're going to be at work tomorrow, and for quite some time. So I forgot. It was 10 years had gone past, and then I met Sir Lee Pearson, the amazing Paralympian. He's won so many medals, such an inspirational man. And I met him when both of us were on the last leg. And he was chatting to me, and he said, look, if you ever felt that you wanted to get back on a horse, I will be there with you, beside you. And, we can take it as slow as you like. So I went to his beautiful, beautiful place. And it was just so peaceful and lovely. And that little horse there, it was quite a big horse, that's Scion. And Scion is used to children who are disabled or partially sighted or even blind. Scion is the most patient, gentle horse. So I felt, it was actually very emotional getting back on, but I felt totally safe because I was on Scion and I had Sir Lee right beside me. I went to places quite near Stoke-on-Trent, and I went up there, and I really did feel as if I'd kind of done something quite special, because I was always a little bit frightened of horses.
Well, of course,
that fear has kind of gone. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be taking it up, but I do.
I was going to say you're going to go back and do it again. No,
I don't think so. I think I've done that now, but I only would have done it with with Sir Lee. Or Lee doesn't like being called Sir Lee, just call him Lee. But yeah, it was quite an experience, but something I think that had to be done, and I feel better for doing it.
And I think that's great, because anyone watching it doesn't know, it was very, very serious, wasn't it? At the time, the doctors actually said, a few millimeters different, because it was near your artery on your
I don't know what would have happened then. I can't even begin to think what would have happened, but it was a bad one, and it was a lesson learned, because you sort of think to yourself that you're invincible, especially if you're doing something for charity. You think, oh, you don't even think that anything's going to happen. You really don't. You really don't. It was a difficult set of circumstances, but thank goodness that I was okay. I found it very hard to be off work. The first couple of weeks I was obviously in hospital, so I couldn't go to work. But then, I probably went back to work too soon. I probably did, because I'm a bit like that, but I missed it very much, and I just wanted to get back and see all the pals and get back with the gang.
Be sat at home feeling like I want to be back up there on the TV. What?
So it was good to do that with Sir Lee, and that was so kind of him as well. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I was going to say, did that kind of experience of it, on a serious level, and that kind of experience of it was so close and it was such a close shave, does that kind of give you a different perspective on things? And how long does that still stay with you? Have you got that sort of different perspective of how you look at life?
Sure, I think it does. I think inevitably it does. You just kind of think, oh, I am not invincible here. And that's not to say that I've not taken on other challenges and done other things that are potentially dangerous. But I always think when you do anything, because I've done a lot of things with the armed forces, and I always think, if you're dangling out of a plane, but you're clutching on to someone from the RAF, you're going to be all right. They're going to be all right. It's going to be fine, because they know what they're doing. They're absolutely fantastic. And I did an abseil down from one of the monuments in London, and I was up at the top, and I was trying to get down, but my body sort of wouldn't let me.
Right.
And what was the thing, "Look, don't worry about it. We'll just do what we do to all of our recruits." And he just basically put his foot in the back of my back and just pushed me down. And I went, and I was fine because there was somebody at the bottom that looked after me, and I was okay, and it was good. And I thought, oh, done that. That's very good. It's not stopped me from wanting to do things. It's certainly not stopped me from being adventurous and all of that.
Yeah.
But you just kind of, you just realise, and obviously as you get older as well, that's not to say that you shouldn't do things, because I do. But yeah, it's sort of, it's like anything. It's like things that really hit you close to home, like with Deborah, with our lovely Deborah James and her Dame Deborah and her amazing campaign and her incredible life. Someone like that just makes you want to seize the day, because she's done more, and she's done more than anybody that I know. She's saved lives. She's astonishing, and that's inspirational. I mean, inspirational is a word that gets bandied about a lot, I know, but she truly is, for me, the definition of inspirational. She's an amazing, amazing lady. So that does, things like that. And things like the pandemic, you sort of think, because for me, it really wasn't big things, Jess. It wasn't massive things that I missed during the pandemic. Of course, I missed traveling. Of course. Yeah. I missed that. Of course I did, because it's very much something that I love to do. But I just missed going for a cup of tea with my mum. Meeting pals for a drink after work. If you were, I mean, when I say after work, I don't mean at 11 o'clock in the morning. I mean at night time. I mean,
later part of your shift.
Yeah, going shopping. Just go shopping. Wee things that we took for granted,
Yeah, just a day out wandering around Primark or something for me.
Yes, which is one of the greatest joys of life. I mean, all these wee things that you sort of think, oh, I didn't realise how actually important that was to me until you took it away. There's massive things like not being able to see your friends, or not being able to see elderly relatives and all of that. That was awful. Not being able to see people in hospital, and that was bad enough.
Yeah, the things that you
just all of those things. For goodness sake, just being allowed to go to an exercise class.
Yeah, the little things like that, you just don't realise how much effort it was now taking to be able to try and even do some of that. Even when the restrictions started lifting, it's still the gloves, the masks, and the sprays, and you suddenly, crikey, all I wanted to do was go out and have a little look around, and I feel like I haven't done that for like 2 years now.
It was really strange, wasn't it? Such a strange time.
It's really strange. It is quite scary that you might be heading back that way with things like the monkeypox and all that. But what other fears, have you got any other fears that you're going to face up to now that you've faced up to the horse?
To be honest, the thing that does frighten me, and I'll be totally honest with you, what frightens me is not so much getting ill, and all of that, because you can hopefully do things to help yourself a bit. I greatly fear things like losing myself, like dementia, because my gran had a bit, not too bad, but that I think, I've seen friends, mums and dads, slowly losing themselves, and then slowly losing the person they love. And that's the thing that frightens me most about getting older. And although, of course, dementia can hit people that are younger, of course, we know that. But that frightens me. I don't want anybody that I love, I don't want to lose them, that sort of like bit by bit by bit. And I certainly wouldn't want that for myself. And I do think something I feel very passionately about is we have to have grown-up conversations about what we do with people who are at that stage in their life and don't want that. They don't want, they just very, with great dignity, whether they're suffering from that or a debilitating disease like motor neuron or whatever. I think we've got to give people the choice. Of course, there has to be checks and balances, of course there does, but we really have to start thinking about that, and not just keeping people alive because we can, but giving them the option to have a good, if there's such a thing as a good death, on their own terms.
On their own terms, yeah.
We do.
It's giving people the choice to make decisions.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And making sure that they're protected, of course. That's very, very important as well.
Yeah.
But we need to have that debate, and I think we're getting there. And I think as a society we have to do that. We have to, definitely.
Yeah. I think what you say is that we hear a lot more about dementia and things now. It feels like it's always in the news about sort of like new.
Which is good. which is good.
It
was Cinderella. Yeah, nobody talked about it.
No one really talked about it, or it's dismissed as, oh, you're just getting old. Yeah. And I'm the same as you. It is one of my big fears, I must say. It is that horrible sort of thought of it. How badly does that affect you? That sort of fear of it? Is it something?
No, it's not something that I would dwell on. I mean, it's really just because we were talking about it today. It's not something that I absolutely dwell on, but it's something that I feel strongly about. I feel that we need to have a lot more money poured into research into dementia and help for carers. Because carers, whether they are caring for someone with dementia or generally, I mean, this week I was at a ceremony for home instead carers, and it was like their carer of the year, and their stories. I mean, these people the carers are amazing, so incredible, and the way that they are so selfless and help people so much. And I think, people that do that job, that look after others, that are vulnerable or who are elderly or disabled or whatever it may be, they are holding up society. They are amazing. And we don't give them, I think, personally, the respect that they deserve and the kudos that they deserve. They should be getting all the awards. They are incredible.
I totally agree with you there, Lorraine. You just see people that, if we didn't have them, what would you do? And if you honestly say, I mean, I don't think I could do the job, like
I don't know how they do it. I think their kindness and caring it's awe-inspiring. It really is.
It really is. And on the things of fears, etc., and talking about difficulties that you faced, you had Piers Morgan on your show not too long ago. And talking about difficult people and difficulty. Have you missed having Piers around?
Yes. It's very quiet. It's incredibly quiet without Mr. Piers Morgan. Do you know what? He's so funny. He normally does last in jobs. He said himself, he usually lasts about 5 years. So it was time. It was probably time. And he's on to something else, and he's on to a different challenge. And, he's on to his new show, and he's doing that, and blinking good luck to him. But it is a much quieter place without him. The thing about Piers is, he's very polarizing, but there's actually he's a very loyal person. And if you have got, and I've seen it, he's very quiet. He doesn't like me saying that he's actually quite nice. He doesn't like it. He said, this is bad for my brand when you say that I'm really nice. But if you were ever in trouble, he would help you out. He really would. I know he infuriates people. Of course he does. And he infuriates me sometimes. But I am actually very fond of him, and I wish him all the best. That if
you needed him, he would be there for you, even though he might annoy you in the same time.
Yeah, he's a very, very loyal person. And and he's having a ball. He's enjoying himself. Good luck to him.
I love the fact that he gets annoyed for you saying that he's nice to people.
He says it's not good for my image. Stop it immediately.
Have you seen his new show on Talk TV?
I have seen a few, because obviously a lot of the people that used to work with us are actually working with him behind the scenes. I've seen a few, but the trouble is 8 o'clock at night is quite difficult. That's usually when I'm doing my homework or catching up with stuff. But it's going to find its place. It's going to find its place. And look, the more choice, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Have more choice, and then it's up to you as a viewer, what do you want to do. And also, we live in a situation now, an awful lot of people watch my show not when it goes out in the morning. A lot, obviously, thank goodness, a lot do. But I find a lot of people saying to me, I watch you between 5 and 6, or I watch you in the afternoon, or I come home from late shift and I watch you really early in the morning. So it's lovely that we can do. I still think that's amazing that we can do it. We've got that choice, that we can watch telly whenever we like. We can freeze telly. I still can't get over that I can actually freeze Coronation Street if I want to go and make a cup of tea or answer the phone. And then
you don't miss anything vital anymore, right?
It's amazing.
And to the most case, you don't have to wait a week between episodes anymore, which is really.
I know. We have to do that. It's annoying, isn't it? When we have to do that. I do love this. Very clever, the whole binging thing. Because during lockdown, Rosie and I watched Game of Thrones, start to finish, and we also started The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
So much to catch up with on that. So much to catch up with. There's so much good stuff on telly. I'm really enjoying Better Call Saul. Love Better Call Saul. It's incredible. And there's been some Gentleman Jack. I'm obsessed with Gentleman Jack. I love it. I'm going to watch it again. Actually, it's so good.
I'm going to watch it again. I love that. Well, I was going to say to you about the sort of. There's been a sort of Fox newsification of some of the sort of morning TV stuff, because you've got GB News as well, which is launched, and obviously your old colleague Esther McVeigh has got a show on there. Have you watched that? Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll watch that.
I take it you haven't watched it yet, then.
I didn't even know she had. That's really funny. No,
the other day.
The thing is, you zap all the time, don't you? You zap between all these different stations. I really like I like the news station. I watch Al Jazeera, I watch Sky, I watch BBC News, obviously watch ITV News, I watch the Scottish News, and I sort of dot between them all. I think it's really good to do that, and to have that window into lots of different. I like CNN. CNN is very, very, very good. So yeah, it's like I say, more choice. More choice is a good thing. But I do always, if there's a big news story breaking out, I always would go to ITV for balance.
For balance,
or ITV or BBC for balance. That's what.
I love the balanced answer in that you'd go to BBC as well.
No, absolutely, of course. You go to Sky News is good. I watch Sky News as well.
Because that sort of, I was just wondering whether you were concerned about that sort of rise of the sort of right wing, kind of very American, kind of very opinion led.
I don't think it necessarily will work here if it's too American. Because if you want to watch that, then I guess you would watch that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know that we like that sort of partisan thing in the UK. I think, I think we'd rather watch Sky or BBC or ITV.
And talking to people you're working with, and talking about people and getting into this, and obviously Rosie, your daughter, now you do the podcast together, and she's kind of sort of breaking into the business. What's it like working with her?
It's great. Well, it was her idea to do the podcast. She does all the work for it. She does all the research and sorts it all out. Can't believe you got a picture of us both with a glass in her hand. Excellent. No, it's lovely working with her. I mean, that I always say that I'm very lucky with my team, and with working with Rosie, because I think working with younger people, and all of my team are a lot younger than me, working with them keeps you young. And I think it's really important, especially in this day and age, to be open, and to be open to new ideas and new thoughts, and new, like Rosie keeps me in touch with new bands and, new TV shows and all the new sort of popular culture that's going on. I mean, she works for a magazine, she works for a radio station, she does her podcast with me. She does a lot, it's great that she's able to do that. I mean, she went to a university and did journalism at Edinburgh University. I didn't do a degree in journalism. She knows a hell of a lot more than I do. And I learn a lot from her. I'd like to think she learns some things from me as well, but I learn an awful lot from her, and I learn a lot from my team. And it is all about having curiosity. I mean, once you don't have that, it's so sad. You don't want to get to a stage in your life where you're really entrenched in your views.
No.
And you're not open to other people's points of view, and you may not necessarily agree with them. I mean, I have a lot of people on my show that I don't agree with, but I would say to you, I would say, okay, you have your point of view. I profoundly disagree with you, but let's have a conversation. I think it's important to keep those lines of communication open.
Because you never know when somebody might make an argument that does change opinions. Most of the time, people don't.
I think people now are so entrenched in their points of view, which I think is very sad, because as the world should be, we should be better than that, and we should be open to what people are saying, unless of course it's horribly, horribly dangerous and damaging, then no. But I do think things have got better, as far as terms of people's, I mean, we've still got an awful long way to go when you think about racism and about homophobia, and about transphobia and all of these things. Yes, there's a long, long way to go, but, when I was alive, this is what I was saying to Rosie the other day. I mean, I was born in 1959 when it was illegal. It was illegal to be gay.
I know. It's crazy when you think about that.
I say it to you, Jess. I say it to you now, and I cannot believe that I was born into a society that was allowed to happen. It's astonishing, isn't it?
It is absolutely astonishing that it would be anybody else's business and that you could be
exactly. Why are people so obsessed? Just let people live. Let people live and be happy and get on with their blinking lives, and don't dare ever stand in judgment over the way everybody wants to conduct themselves. But look how far we've come. We have come far. Still, like I say to you, still a lot of work to be done, especially with the trans community. You're finding it really hard right now. I feel as if where we are with the trans communities, where we were perhaps with gay rights, say, 20 years ago. And I'm very confident and optimistic that we will get there. But it's, it's hard enough going through that and coming to terms with that and trying to be the person that you're supposed to be without all this noise that goes on.
Noise and the sort of the debate over, stand-ups can say what jokes they like. And you just think, do you know what? Do you have to go down that road though? Because you're causing upset and you not just tell a joke about something else.
Yeah, not if you're hurting people. Although, I do think that you have to be careful with what you censor. But at the same time, we all just need to be a little bit more understanding and a little bit kinder. That's what I would say.
Exactly. I was going to say, were you worried about Rosie getting into the business, into the public eye at all?
No, she's not really. She's more kind of behind the scenes. Obviously we do the podcast together. Yeah. But she's more, she's a reporter, she's a journalist, and she's producing and doing things like that and loving it. And it's really up to her if she wanted to do it. I mean, she did Gogglebox with me, but that's a cool show, and that's a great show, and that's not like being on the telly. That's just being in your house watching the telly and commenting on it, which we do anyway. And it just so happened that people filmed it and put it out. I love Gogglebox. I love it. I love the whole experience, and I love the show. It's just so funny. So funny.
Because your husband, Steve, he's got a sort of different attitude, doesn't he?
He's like Angus. When we did Gogglebox, my wee dog Angus actually sat on the television watching us watch the television. With me and Rosie and her wee dog Ruby. Ruby was a puppy then, so she was just sleeping all the time. And everybody was saying, "Where's your dog, Angus?" Well, he's like Steve. He's got no interest in the public eye, and Steve has got no interest in it at all whatsoever. He would run away, run a mile. He's got, and I quite like that.
I was going to say, is that refreshing for you that it gives you a complete break? It's like a different, like.
It is that way. I mean, I don't go to many. Like I was saying to you, I went to Baptist, but I don't go to many, sort of celeb things. I don't really have celeb pals, whatever that is. I mean, obviously, I'm very friendly with all the gang here, but we absolutely do not consider ourselves to be celebrities. I mean, we're journalists. We happen to be TV presenters, but we're not. We're just doing our job. Really, I don't feel as if I'm part of that gang. I don't
feel like you're part of that, going down the red carpet and all of that. Like,
I'm constantly amazed and baffled that people would want to take my picture. And I know that might sound weird because I've been doing this for quite some time, but I've always felt sort of a little bit on the outside of it, and I don't think that's a bad thing either.
No, I don't think. I think you're right. Is that because I was wondering whether you're like ever missed that? He's not doing the red carpet with you and all of that. But I think if you don't feel comfortable doing it, then
it's not. I don't feel comfortable, and I'll do it because it's part of the job. It's fine. I don't mind. But I don't actively seek it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But obviously, if it's something like the BAFTAs or I don't go to many film premieres because I'm lucky enough to see the movies before they come out in a screening room, which is one of the perks of life. My gosh, it's just amazing. So yeah, I don't feel that, but it's not something that I would say, oh great, I have to go to this or this or this. I mean, I only go to things that I really want to go to. Like if it was a new Star Trek film, I'm there. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I would not go to every single one. Do you know what I mean? It would have to be something that I really wanted to see.
That you really wanted to see. And talking of Star Trek and space, I was going to say, you obviously have this amazing career. You've done so much stuff. And you did that great documentary with the penguins, and you got sent to do space training.
Yes, NASA, I did.
As sort of big present, didn't you? And here's you, there you are. And I saw that somebody actually thought you were an astronaut, and you thought that was amazing.
Yes.
What ambitions have you got left?
Loads.
Have you been in touch with Richard Branson about maybe going up?
I know. I have not even subtly hinted, Jess. I've actually said, can I come with you? So far, no. But I'm going to keep trying. I mean, that was amazing. Astronaut training was astonishing. And it was when I went back to the hotel, and of course I kept the jumpsuit on. I wasn't taking that off for anybody. And I had the NASA, the NASA sort of badge on it in my name. Yeah. And a wee lady said, "Oh my goodness me," she said, "are you an astronaut?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And my husband was like, "You just told that wee woman you were an astronaut." I said, "Oh, please just let me have the fantasy. Just let me have it, just for 5 minutes." I mean, that would be the ultimate. You know, I was so. Do you know when Bill Shatner went up in space? We obviously played Kirk. Yeah. When he went up, I love that. I think he's nearly 90, if he's not 90 already.
Yeah, he was 90. Yeah.
That was just amazing. I'd love to do that. Of course I would. Who wouldn't? I mean, that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, just like everybody else did, really. Yeah. And that would be astonishing. But on ways that maybe things that I perhaps might be able to do, I'd love to write a book, a novel. I would love to do some more radio. I want to do some more exploring. I want to go, like I was saying to you, I want to go to Mongolia. I want to go back to Antarctica, back to South Georgia. Canada, I would love to the north of Canada, Greenland. So much of the world to see. So much of the world to see, and I want to see as much of it as I possibly can and experience as much different cultures as I possibly can, because you know it's such a great thing to do, and it gives you a better understanding, and you realise the farther away you go and the more places you visit, you realise we're all the blinking same. We really are. We're all just trying to go our lives and feed our children. That's all we're trying to do.
There sounds like there's a good travel show there. There's a good pitch that you can do.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, that's something that I would love to do as well. You know, I really would. I'd love to do something on. You know, they always do, like when they go and visit, like maybe I don't know, different tribes in different parts of the world, and they always concentrate on the men, and they never concentrate on the women. And I would love to do that instead, because the women are holding it up, as women do. You know, they hold up half the sky, and that has not really been done. And I would like to do that. You know, whether it's in South America, or whether it's in Southeast Asia, or Guinea, whatever it may be. I think there's definitely stories to be told, and that'd be lovely.
Exactly. So really great. You could go and immerse yourself with a tribe for a month. I love that. That's brilliant. And I actually think like it would be fantastic if you could go up on one of the things. Maybe it's Jeff Bezos. If Richard Branson's not,
listen, I'll go with anybody. I'm not fussed. I'm not fussed.
Carmen line if you go with Jeff Bezos, don't you? So you go. Maybe you could even do a little segment for the show from up there.
Well, I did it when we did the nearest thing you get to space, which is the zero gravity flight. Yeah. So I did it on that. I was like a kid. That was amazing. I absolutely loved that. I'd go back and do that in a heartbeat. I would recommend everybody to do that. It turns you into a toddler. I was just full of glee and joy and happiness and giggled, and it was magic. It was magical. It really was. What an amazing experience. That was my team's present to me for my 60th birthday.
Yeah.
Best present ever.
I bet it was. And I was just going to say, I know very quickly, because I know that we're taking up more time than we should. But like, what would you say has been some of the highlights of Lorraine and being on the show?
So many. I mean, obviously the zero gravity flight, of course. From career-wise, I mean, personal-wise, going to Ernest Shackleton's grave in South Georgia, that was an amazing and very emotional experience. Going up in a fighter jet, that was astonishing. I mean, I wasn't sick. Jeremy Clarkson barfed everywhere, and I wasn't sick. He had done it shortly before me, and I wasn't. And all the guys at the RAF say women are better. We're better with G-force. We actually can cope with it. And of course, when I was at school, I wanted to be, as well as an astronaut, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And now I love the fact that we've got female fighter pilots, and have had for quite some time. Yeah. And that's, again, getting there, you know, we're actually getting place. But really, I just love every single day of my job because I never know what's going to happen. It's live telly. Anything can happen. And it's just wonderful. And I've met some astonishingly incredible people. And I don't mean people that have got movies out. That's great to talk to them. Of course it is. I mean, people that trust me with their stories and their experiences. And that's huge, you know, that people will come on and talk to me about things that have profoundly affected them, and hopefully that they've got over and that they've triumphed. That's very, very special. Very special.
Yeah, it must be, because you just get that sort of, you've helped tell their story, and that's important to them, and those are the ones that count more than, you know. But it's nice to meet Ryan Reynolds at the same time, you know. And I know, don't know how to give me names, but has there been any celebs come on that you would never have on again because they were a little bit?
Not really. I mean, we've had people on who are difficult. I would not rush, and I don't think I would ever want to interview Kevin Spacey again. He was not a particularly pleasant individual. So no, and to be honest with you, I don't reckon that would happen anyway. No. By and large, people are all right. You know, they are all right. There are some that are better than others. Like, I mean, Tom Hanks is a joy. Hugh Jackman is a joy. I mean, an absolute joy. It just makes it so easy for you. And it's just, Meryl Streep is a delight. Cher is a delight. Oprah Winfrey. All of these people, they're brilliant communicators, and they're so enthusiastic. And again, they've got that curiosity about life. And they make your job easy, and they make everybody else round about them who's looking after them, they make their job easy too. So that's fantastic. You know, that really, because it's down to, they are the ones that set the tone. And you know, they're the ones that set the atmosphere. And of course they say, I mean, I remember talking to Tom Hanks about this very thing. And he said, look, I've got to do all of these interviews, and it's part of my job. And I can either do it and we all have a nice time, or I can be a bit of a pain in the bum and we all have a rubbish time. Why would I do that? Why?
Exactly. That's
right. You know, it's all right. It's all right.
Why would you want to be known as this kind of awkward person? What did Kevin Spacey do that was so bad?
You know, he just didn't want to be there, and he was icy, and he was just kind of like, couldn't be bothered, and you just thought, and of course, big House of Cards fan. This was before all the allegations against him. Just before, actually. So maybe he had a lot in his mind. I don't know. But he was just so unpleasant to everyone, you know, from me to our crew, the person that was putting the mic on. He was just, and you just kind of thought, you know what? We've got other stuff we can be getting on with. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, go off. Don't worry. We can do something else. We're doing on something else.
Got lots of things we can do, you know. Yeah. But sometimes it's the people round about them as well. You know, it's the people round about. I mean, I remember going to interview. Gosh, who was it? Iron Man. You know.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you, Robert Downey Jr. Thank you. Sorry, ma'am. And we sat there, and a couple of his people came in and said, the room's too hot. The room's too hot. You'll have to make it cooler, because we were interviewing him in a hotel. So we said, oh, okay, fine, no worries. So we put the aircon down, and we waited till it got to the correct temperature. And then he came in, and I said, actually, is this okay? You know, we have been waiting for quite some time to make sure the temperature was right. And he was like, what are you talking about? It's fine. So he didn't know anything about it. You know, that can sometimes happen. Or they insist on, you know, water at a certain temperature, and candles, of course, we can't do, because we don't have, we're not able to have puppies and kittens in baskets. We just can't, you know.
No, exactly.
And then you say to the nice person that, you know, the star, really sorry, we couldn't get you that really expensive candle, but, you know, we did spray some Febreze, so maybe that's okay. And they're like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. It's grand. You're all right. And so oftentimes it's just the fuss round about the person. And people, it's about the fuss. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, people busying themselves, making themselves feel more important, and actually giving their person a really bad name. And lastly, I just want to say about, in terms of like other shows. Now you like a lot of famous faces, and a lot of people from like Good Morning Britain and things have done things like Strictly and I'm a Celeb and stuff, and you never really sort of seemed as keen to do them. Is there any of those shows that you would fancy doing?
Not in a million years. I'd rather eat my own bottom than a kangaroo's bottom. I have no desire. I love those shows. I love to watch I'm a Celebrity. I love to watch Strictly. I adore Strictly Come Dancing. It's a fantastic show. It makes you feel better about the world. But no, absolutely not in a million years. I would be so rubbish. And you know how there's always a kind of jokey act in Strictly, although actually I think the standard is so amazing now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. You know how someone like Ed Balls was funny and endearing and really sweet, and everybody was rooting for him because he was, he was trying really hard. Even no matter how hard I tried, I would just be rubbish. I would just be rubbish. I'd be bad, just bad. So no. But I shall be obviously watching. But no, I won't be doing it.
Do you get asked on all of them all the time?
I do, and it's very kind that people would think of me. But I always go, no, it's okay.
No, we're not going to see you on the Masked Dancer scene or anything.
Again, I would just be rubbish. I can't dance and I can't sing. Why would I put myself through it? Why would I put the nation through having to listen to me, for goodness sake?
I would love to be able to sing. Really can't. I can't do any of that. Right. We're talking before about things, about how things have progressed and changed, and you have said that you having turned 60 and things. There was a while ago there was sort of talk about there isn't enough women presenters above a certain age on primetime TV. Do you think that's changed enough now?
Definitely, I really do. And when you work for breakfast TV or daytime, it's actually considered, which is lovely, which shows again that the pioneers in so many things, that having reached an age and amassed experience and wisdom, maybe, that's valued. And that's very valued on daytime telly. And I think that's what gives it its strength as well. I mean, obviously we have young faces on too. Of course we do. But you do have older women. I mean, you look at those women. There's women there, like Gloria, who's in her prime. And you've got Janet. You've got older women. And on the other side on BBC, you've got Angela Rippon, who's still doing consumer shows, and Julia Somerville. Yeah, I think it has got better. And also I think as well that we are all taking more care of ourselves now. I mean, when I was a kid and somebody said to me 62, I would have thought that was like, oh my gosh, that's like really, really old. And now, at the age of 62, I genuinely do feel in my prime. I genuinely feel on top of my game, and I just feel the best I've been. So that's good, and long may that continue.
And my very last question, because I kept you way too long, I know, I'm so sorry. It's been lovely chatting to you. Would you ever think about, as everyone ever said, would you think about ever being able to picture retiring? Can we picture retirement? Or are you going to be there for the next 20, 30 years?
While people are watching, which is fantastic, and while I'm enjoying what I do, no, and I can't imagine me retiring completely. I think I would be writing, or I would be doing something. I would be doing something. I don't see me retiring altogether. Because I think sometimes when you retire, even if you're retiring from a job that you didn't particularly love, and I love what I do, you've got to be doing something. You don't want just to be not doing anything at all. So yeah, I would definitely be doing something, and a lot more travel as well. I definitely would be doing that too.
So we're going to be seeing Lorraine for a lot longer.
I hope so. If people want to, that'd be great.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lorraine. I really appreciate you talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely. Great conversation, Jess. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you so much.